is if you're not careful, you will take that toxicity from work, and before you know it, it will roll over into how you feel when you get if you don't put it in check as you're driving or on the train or walking home, it's going to go with you. Hi, welcome to episode number 39 of Joy in the Pivot. I'm Dr. Phyllis, your host. Are you working in a work environment that's hostile, toxic, messy, that is leaving you disappointed, depleted, discouraged, and stuck? Have you seen leaders who you respected, who have served as your role models, your mentor, get kicked to the curb or become so disenchanted or frustrated or harassed themselves that they're left, they're gone, yet you're still there? Have you seen people come into your department or into your general work environment that haven't paid the dues that you've paid? Yet, because have become the yes people, as I call them, they co-sign everything that those above you, they seem to get promoted. Have you ever felt that it seems like everybody's getting promoted around you except you? Have you felt that while once your work environment was full of life, full of potential, you saw what your mission was, you felt that you could see where you yourself could promote and grow, but then you wake up one day and that's gone. And again, you feel stuck. As much as you would like to leave, you can't leave because you need that job at this time because it's providing not only your income, but also your health benefits or other benefits. Maybe they're paying for your education, or maybe there was an agreement that you would stay so long, or maybe it's in a location that works best for your family or yourself. So again, you can't just say, I'm out of here. So what do? Do you go to the dark place of the victim role? And I don't mean that as a criticism, but I think we all understand what that is that place of desperation and discouragement where you just feel like everything is happening to you and it's dark and you can't see any way out, to the point that you can't wait till Friday comes, but then Sunday night you start, or even if Sunday morning, you start feeling this deep nausea at the pit of your stomach because you know you got to go back in there and deal with it the next day. Maybe you find it hard to get up on Monday morning, or what is considered your Monday morning, because you don't want to deal with the drama. You feel like there is a lot of lip service, so to speak, but no substance. Or you feel so upset and disregarded and underappreciated that it's unfair that you start acting different than who you really are. You start just being on the defensive about everything, and you don't feel any joy there, be it in the woe is me, that dark place, or in the place where it just makes you angry and on the defensive. Then there's another position you can take where you step back and say, okay, Lord, for right now, I need this job. Show me the lesson. And that's what I want to talk about today, sis. And why I can talk about it is I have lived personally these three different positions. There was a point in time where I was working in a very toxic environment. And I was hurt. I saw a lot of things, as you've heard me say, when it's like in the movie The Wizard of Oz. One of my favorite sayings is, once you see behind the wizard's curtain, there's no going back. You can't pretend you didn't see what you saw. And you have to deal with that new knowledge, that how let's just break it down, how crazy people can be. And I'm not talking about people who have, because now there are some people that you work with that may have some undiagnosed mental health challenges. So you need to recognize that for what it is. But I'm not making light of those people. But I'm just saying, human nature, we all can act a little crazy, little when we're not keeping ourselves in check. And often people, as you've heard me say, hurting people hurt people. So in stepping back, stepping all the way back, is, Lord, what is going on here? And while you can't necessarily change those people that are making life very interesting for you at work, you can change if you give yourself permission and you have the willingness to do the deep work. You can transform how you approach work. I think that as I get older, I realize what my mom was saying when she used to always say, when you swim with sharks, you have to become a shark. And for a long time, I thought it was about, well, you've got to be vicious or you've got to be this. But I realized that's not what she was saying. Is, as Avalia Van Zant always says, Ayanna, I mispronounced her name. Ayanna Van Zant says, you got to call a thing a thing. And that's what I think mom was saying about being a shark when you're swimming with sharks. You have to step back and get out of yourself to recognize who you're working with and what's really going on here. And it's being a good listener, it's being a good observer. Because when we do that, we can really start looking at those that are making life at work toxic and crazy and seeming like there's really no common sense, I'm gonna say it, going on, and why some people are being promoted and you're not, or why things seems to be changing, or why things are coming in a circle or in a cycle where, you know, some people want to do the same thing and the same thing, or they want to come in and change everything when they first come in instead of asking questions. That's one thing a leader can do, which is not good to do. So it is important to step back And I'm laughing here to myself because Satan is trying to get busy by making me cough. But we're going to get this message out today. Um, so, with all of that being said, work has broken your heart. Now what? You've seen behind the wizard's curtain. Now what? You feel a certain way. You're discouraged. You're depleted. You're upset. You feel like you're out there by yourself because what used to be a potentially a good work environment to be in is now no longer. That leader who really gave of themselves and established a supportive, loving environment, the person who you could always go to is no longer there. So now you're there. And as I said, you can't leave. It's you either can kind of sit there stagnant and stuck with that mentality, waiting for something to open up, or you change how you respond to it. How do you navigate this environment? And as I shared, I get it. And in becoming that shark is you have to know who you are. Just because you work in a crazy environment, God has not forgotten you. He's looking at you, He sees you right now. And while He will allow certain things to happen, I do believe, as Jeremiah 29:11 states, God knows the plans He has for you. Not to destroy you, but to prosper you. But He has to allow things to happen, just like that leader who left. God has that leader, him or her, in His mind, and He may have to move that leader away so that that leader, that mentor you had, that role model you had, could now follow and get into God's full purpose for their life. Now you have to look to God and ask Him what it is for that He has for you to do. Because you can't just pick up and leave where you're at because you need your job. And we're going to pray that if there is something else He wants you to do, that He's going to bring it to you. And He's working it. But for right now, you're in that position. You are in the craziness, right? You're in that toxic work environment. But you have to try your very best that the toxicity doesn't get into you and consume you. Because as Christians, we are a peculiar people. We are not made to fit in every environment. And I had to realize that. I knew that in my life outside of work. But there was a time that I forgot that when I was at work. And you'll hear me talk about your job, your workplace is no different than life outside of work. That you are not just up against flesh and blood, it's principalities. Satan is getting busy. Now, he has no ultimate power. He only can do what God will allow him to do so that you can continue to grow. Now, there are things that happen, and there's a lot of things that happen to us that are out of your personal control. but you never lose God's anointing on your life when you are looking to it for Him to take every situation and make you better. So I want you to look at, I want you to actually, before you look, I want you to really step back and think about, how do you want your life to be? Do you want to just be an angry person where you come to work upset, you get to work upset? Or do you want to be that person who you walk around feeling like you're just, you have that lens on that everything is happening to you as the victim so that you can't even see the light? You can't even see that while your leaders may not see your light, there are other people that you are touching, that you are fulfilling your purpose for this season, and you are making a difference. And furthermore, or do you want to say, okay, Lord, now y'all forgive me, because I'm just going to break it down, because this is what I tell myself. Because there was a time that I had to say, you know what? I have to put my big girl pants on. This is my Queen Esther moment. I am made for this. I'm made for it. I'm made for it. But I'm not going to live my life in reaction, because that's what I had been doing for several years. Living life on eggshells, feeling like I had lost my voice. And I mean, lost the ability, I had lost the power, because I was so busy trying to, you know, just suck everything up and just, was on autopilot. But then I had to step back and say, okay, what is the lesson here? Okay, Lord, I want to live a better life. I'm in my job for a certain amount of more time. When do I need to speak up and advocate for myself? And when do I need to just be quiet and be a good listener and watch everybody and everything, so that way I know where they're coming from? Because if we're quiet, sometimes people tell on themselves. And then you get to a chance to know who really you can trust and who not to trust. And people will also let you know who they are and whose roadmap they following. Are they following God's roadmap or the other one's roadmap? Or they're just their own? I want you to be that person, to exercise that option where you do the hard work that's needed to put your big girl pants on and do the work. It's doing the work by going deep and seeing how you feel, why you feel the way you do in the work environment, what's going on, what's the history, what's the narratives, what has been your personal investment in this, what is God trying to show you? Are you, were you, or have you, or did you kind of put a period, like this is it, where God is just telling you, this is just a temporary job I have for you. Maybe you thought you were going to kind of like homestead at this job, and you were going to promote from this level, then promote to that level, to promote to that level. Maybe you thought you were going to stay at the same location, but maybe it's God's plan that you're going to move to another job. So right now, this is just not an end. This is the means for right now. And we talked about this several weeks ago in terms of permission to pivot, right? What is it God is trying to show you? And that takes a lot of deep work, but you can do it. But you have to say, I do want to not just stay in this mindset that I am, in this angry mindset where I'm just spending too much of my time talking about what they doing and they not doing, or regretting being here, to what am I supposed to learn where I'm at right now? And what do I need to be looking at with God's guidance, or what do I need to open myself? Because you don't want to go start working it. Because used to be that, like, God would give me a little message and then I try to go work out the answer. That's not what I'm saying. Is what is it you need to say, and take that risk to say, Lord, you see me. I'm open for you to show me what your next step is, and give me the courage and the discernment and the perseverance and the resilience to hang out here for right now and show me where you want me to go. And to recognize, as I said, the messiness and hurting people, and that not everybody is made to be your people, because you are working among believers. You're working among those who may have been raised in the church, but they're not in tune to what's going on with them. So they're not acting in the way that they should. That you're working with people who are so caught up in the striving, and they don't care. They, feel like they gotta fight, for this little piece of the pie. And you've heard me talk about, unfortunately, we as women feel like we have to fight each other to be the token, instead of putting energy into, okay, I'm in the door, let me see how I can help you. Or we feel like we have to criticize somebody so we can get in position. So you need to recognize, remember, mom said, when you swim with sharks, you have to become a shark. So again, that doesn't mean you got to gobble everybody up, but you just need to also recognize where you're at, so that you can navigate where you're at, so that the toxicity doesn't get in you. Because, sis, what happens is if you're not careful, you will take that toxicity from work, and before you know it, it will roll over into how you feel when you get, if you don't put it in check as you're driving or on the train or walking home, it's going to go with you. And then it changes how you experience your family, how you experience people you meet along the street, how you experience yourself. And then what happens, I know, we stress eat, we stress shop, we stress drink. I'm gonna say it, we can, some of us gamble because we're looking for a release, or we do other things. All because of what happens at work blurs into other parts of our life. Just like, if someone upsets us, or we're sad, if you have a significant other, you all have a falling out before you leave home, or you get a phone call that upsets you, um, you have children and they're tripping on the way to work. If you're not careful and check that stuff, you bring that into work. So it's not even everybody, the other people. It could be what you bring into to work. And we're going to talk about that in another episode. But if we're not careful, sis, we blur all that together. So the take home message for today's episode is, I want you to know I see you. You're working in challenging work environments. Your heart's been broken by how you've seen others treated, how you've seen or experienced your own self treated. You feel like what's right is being negated or punished, and what's wrong is being promoted and rewarded. You feel stuck. Work has become a place where it once was exciting to go to, but now it's not so exciting. But I'm going to tell you, sis, this is just a comma in your life. It's not a period. Yet, because right now this job is your means, it's not an end, but it's your means. It's your salary, it's your benefits. With that being said, you have the ability to change your vision, to transform how you approach work so that you can bring the best of yourself by putting work in its proper perspective with the right priority. And I'm not saying it's easy because you're going to have to do some deep work. And that's why you'll hear me recommending frequently that even if it's not working with me as your life coach, but working with another life coach, find someone who can coach and mentor you. Find your community of like-minded people who you all will keep each other accountable to look for the light and not be gobbled up by the toxicity and the dark. And I want you to remember Jeremiah 29:11, that God knows the plans he has for you. And they are to prosper you and not harm you. It can hurt, but ultimately he wants you, our Father God wants you to live with joy, with intention, in his purpose. And this season is a part of his plan, and it's for you by strengthening your faith, by getting support to see the lesson in the storm. Because I'm going to tell you, if you do the work, you can get through this season and prosper, where then you get to a point where you can look back and say, Lord, they got that. And you will be ready to walk into the door that God has prepared for you. And I'm here for you, because truly you can have joy in the middle and joy in the pivot. And I look forward to meeting here with you every week to help you pivot your mindset, pivot your spirit through your faith in God through Jesus Christ, so you can pivot your feet and be ready to walk into the next door of a great season. I love you, and I pray you will do me the great favor and honor of subscribing and share. Let's grow this community of Christian women who will strengthen each other and be the light at work, at home, and in the community. Love you much. See you next time. Bye now.